Hey everybody, how you doing? I just really realized that today's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. And there's literally like a coup happening at the White House. Happy birthday to John. Perfect. January 6th will go down in American history as the year its citizens attempted a coup on the White House. This is kind of like having a birthday on September 11th. It's just like everybody in the world will be like, "Man, January 6th, eh? What a day!" And like I kind of already made a video about this, but like it is completely indicative of what's been happening down in the states and here in Canada, without a doubt. Like we have like legitimately put 40 years at least of energy towards the idea that every man for themselves, it's about competition. This neoliberal concept of individualism, that the way to organize our society is through a free and open market, and that regulations are bad. All of these sorts of things are clearly a failure. Like, like clearly a failure. Uh, the entire grift has fallen apart in totality. That the people who have been willing to fight and struggle and push forward the idea that if you are failing, it is completely your fault and you just need to get a better job, are literal fascists and Nazis who are willing to attempt to overthrow the American government through violent force. The same people who were complaining about the looting that was happening during the George Floyd protests are now looting the White House. This is a complete and total failure on any rational level. This is the logical conclusion of neoliberalism. What we have experienced for the last year through the pandemic is the consequences of neoliberal policies and the failures of trickle down economics, which is why our political class is continuing to use these failed ideas and failed concepts. Certainly, it has nothing to do with the fact that these ideas enrich them specifically. Certainly, it has nothing to do with maintaining power over the populace. Oh, all of that. Tra la la and fiddle dee dee. Like I say over and over and over again on this channel, what are we supposed to do about it? I live in Canada, so I don't know what you're going to do in the States. Check that. I know exactly what you should do in the States. We should do it here in Canada as well. We should do it across the globe. We should have a general strike. We should hold a general strike in solidarity with the working class in all of these countries, and we should overthrow the capitalist class and remove them from power completely. We should transfer their shares from them to the working class and tell the capitalists to get a real job and stop crying. Like, the grift is over. It's just whether or not the left can organize itself appropriately, and whether or not the left can actually get the manpower necessary to actually do what must be done, which is to have a general strike and to overthrow the capitalist class and eliminate them from our political discourse completely and social discourse completely. Like, when you go to work, you're going to a tyrannical government. You're going to work in a tyranny who will tell you what to do, and if you don't like it, you can go find another tyranny to go and work for. And then we pretend like, oh, well, let's go hold an election once every 4 years to vote for a person who works for those tyrannies. Uh, and that's actually going to get something done. Here in Canada, there are solutions. Like, it would take one election cycle for us to completely eliminate the capitalists from our political discourse. Stop voting conservative, stop voting liberal. At this point, it is a mental illness, right? Like, you are voting conservative, you are voting liberal, you are voting for people who are attempting to destroy you. Stop. There's no reason to vote conservative. There's no reason to vote liberal. They do not work for you. They are not interested in helping you in any way, shape, or form. And if you think otherwise, you are deluded. You are completely delusional. You're completely delusional. And it's time to wake up and actually vote for people who may actually help you, who may actually work in your interests, because conservatives and liberals will not. They're not going to work in your interests. They do not care about you. They care about brunch. They care about themselves. And if you're one of those people who can't possibly imagine not voting conservative or liberal for whatever reason, then don't vote. If you look around and go, oh, well, there isn't an alternative, then yes, there is. You could always just not vote. Because voting conservative and voting liberal is a moral sin at this point. Like, it just, you are just piling wood onto the fire. You are going, oh, sure, I would vote for an alternative if there was a viable alternative, but I'll just keep pouring gasoline on this fire. Like, just quit. Stop supporting them, right? Because if you don't support them whatsoever, then alternative parties and alternative ideas that you refuse to support for whatever reason is your own actually do have a viable chance. If less people just stop voting conservative and liberal completely and just don't vote, that actually gives the opportunity for NDP or Green or even independents to gain enough traction. But if we continue voting for these guys, like, I mean, you can take a look at the states to see what the natural consequence is of their policies. These are the policies of both the conservatives and the liberals. They're both neoliberals, right? They're not interested in helping you. They're interested in formulating trade deals that are full of all kinds of secondary systems and secondary ideas which hurt the populace. They don't help. If they helped, they would have, right? But take a look. Like, if you're a baby boomer and you're hearing this kind of stuff, like, the millennial generation owns less, works harder, and has less time. It's a complete failure. To say otherwise, I think, is delusional or cruel. And you have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge it. And it's no longer enough to just acknowledge it. You have to also put your support behind ideas, or just stop supporting ideas that are hurting your children. Like, I'm a millennial, and I consider the conservatives and the liberals completely unelectable and this neoliberal system to be a total failure. And I think there are a lot of people who think the way that I think. And as this channel starts to grow, and as it starts to gain traction, and as more and more people see that, oh, hey, here's a guy who's actually telling the truth about what's happening in our lives, you're going to see what happens if you continue to stand on the wrong side of history. If you continue to ally yourself ideologically with Nazis and fascists, which are willing to overthrow their government institutions when things don't go their way electorally, right? What, you think that if we just ignore them, if we just keep allowing the neoliberals to control the situation, you think those fascists are just going to stop? You think they're just going to become less less aggressive? You think they're going to become less forceful? We already have billionaire fascists like the Koch brothers who have committed eco-fascism against us, who have actually helped destroy our environment while simultaneously propagandizing against us. How much longer until they actually have trained militiamen who they're funding in order to overthrow government institutions they disagree with? Huh? Why shouldn't they do that? Can you give me one reason why a billionaire can't do that? Like, the propaganda is just the first strategy for these guys. You wait until we're fighting their private militias. And their private militias will be full of these people, right? This first endeavor right here, this first strike on the White House is just the start. Unless we absolutely depower these billionaires and get them out of our lives, unless we absolutely make it so that they have no control in any situation, in any place, for any purpose whatsoever. Like, our society is structured to be a necromantic death cult. And I think that's the centrist position at this point. Like, I think that's the centrist position. I don't think that's a far left position at all. I think that's what the centrists should be saying. Yeah, it's completely a death cult. We kept people at work during a deadly pandemic. We're certainly using necromancy, right, to power our power structures, to power, like, it's obvious what's happening at this point. We just literally have to do something about it. And the thing to do is to stop voting completely for people who are absolutely structuring the society to be a death cult, which it obviously is. And you can see what's going to happen if you just keep ignoring it, right? Like, if Biden gets into power and completely ignores it, completely ignores the fact that the neoliberal ideology has completely demolished any chance of a beneficial life for the millennials, the Gen Z or onward. Like, if you can't see logically that neoliberalism, it has been a complete and total failure, and if Biden doesn't actually do something about it, then the Republicans are going to field a fascist who is going to make Donald Trump look like a child, because the next fascist they put on the field is going to believe it, right? Trump was just a goofball. He was a clown. The next guy is going to be a man who believes what he says and operates as if he does. And things will get fucking serious in the United States. So if we don't actually start voting for people who are actually interested in helping the populace and continue voting for people who are telling you to sacrifice your entire life into a system that's designed to destroy you, yeah, things are going to get ridiculously serious. Ridiculously serious. I would rather we didn't. So here I am. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to John. America's a failed state. Oh man, hit all the bells, hit all the whistles, do the subscription, send this around, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, hide your kids, hide your wives. That's sorry Gen Z, that's more of a millennial throwback. Hit everything, man, do everything. I love you all, good luck. We're gonna need it.